Hey there, everyone. Zolborn Games here. If you struggle to figure out what discards you do when you're playing cribbage, like whether you're the dealer or you're the pawn or opponent or whatever, that's what I want to talk about today. I am not a pro, but I am a cribbage enthusiast, and I do kind of get the basics of this idea. So, first thing we're going to do in calculating our cribbage discard is we are going to, don't look at this, don't look at the stuff at the bottom, just look it up here. We are at the dailycribbagehand.org. I'll include a link in the description below. This is one of my favorite websites. They give you kind of troubling or complex hands sometimes, and really good cribbage players get to weigh in and vote on what they would choose as the discard. So this is one of the places I go to get hands to practice when I really want to sit down and analyze. So I see 3, 3, 5, 6, 7, and 10. I'm going to go write that down over here so I don't keep cheating. 3, 3, we'll put spaces, 6, 7, and 10. Oh my gosh, the way my camera is, you're going to see like my giant hands. So apologize for that in advance. All right. Okay. One thing that I want you to note is that I'm not doing suits because I'm not really worried about flushes because they're often not the right thing to consider, although they sometimes are. So hopefully, let me look at this one. This one might be considered with a flush hand, but because of we have 4 hearts we can do. But I'm not going to worry about that for the purposes of this like basic calculation. I think this will do you well for like 95% of your gameplay. Okay. Over here, I look at the bottom. These are the points, the point standings, 39 and 31. Our number is always first, and if it has an asterisk, that means we're the dealer. So in this case, we are the dealer. We're early in the game, so we're trying to go for like the most optimal hand, the one that's going to give us the best odds of getting the most points relative to our opponent. So as the dealer, I need to start brainstorming some cribbage discards, and I'm going to come up with 3 just as an example and put them here. So let's see. We've got a run. So we usually want to keep those together. And we've got a pair. So right off the top of my head, since it's my discard, my crib, I think about keeping, I think about keeping as many points as possible. This is going to give us 15-2, 3, 4, 5. And then this is going to give us 7. So that's one option. So we'll have 7 there. So this is 7 as of now. Okay. Another option is to, let's see, if I keep 3, 3, 5, and 7, and I throw 6, 10 away. This is because 3 plus 7 is that. So 3 plus 7 is 10, plus 5 is 15. That's going to give us 15-2, 15-4, and a pair is 6. And then there's that. So 6 compared to 7. This one looks better right now. Any other combinations? Well, let's see. If I did, let's see, if I did 3, 3, 5. I already did 3, 3, 5, 7. If I did 3, 5, 6, 7. If I toss the 10 and the 5, that would just give us 4 points total. If I kept 3, 5, 6, 7, that would give us 5 points total. I think that's the next best option. We'll put it down just as an example. 3, 5, 6, 7, and then toss one of the 3s and a 10. All right. So now what we need to do is decide based on the cuts possible and the cards that we know. Based on the cuts possible and the cards that we know, what are our odds? What are the best odds that we've got? Okay. So I have this set up for myself in a Google Sheet. I have a dealer calculator, pawn calculator, or opponent when you're not the dealer. And then I keep track of hands as I calculate them. So I go over here, and you can copy and paste this over if you want to, but I have a function that pulls it from the first sheet choices so I can just see it myself. All right, so we're here. And I've got all the cut options. Again, I'm not worried about suits right now. Yes, suits are an option for flushes, especially in your hand. And this one, it would be an option, I think. And I'm trying not to glance down, but yes, I see it is an option down here that some people voted for. But we're going to keep it basic. So, because when you're good enough, if you're that good that you want to consider all those suits every single time you think about it, then go ahead. You probably shouldn't be watching this video. But if you're trying to get a little bit better at calculating your hands, keep watching. So, ace. If an ace is cut, first thing I'm going to do is how many cards are left. There are 6 cards in our hand. We've discarded 2. Yes, the opponent has 6 as well, but we don't know what they have. So I'm going to assume that all 46 cards are in play for now. Okay. So aces, how many are left? There are 4 aces left. How many 2s are left? 4. How many 3s are left? There are only 2 because we're using 2 right here. How many 4s are left? All 4. How many 5s? There are 3 5s left. How many 6s? 3 6s, 3 7s. How many 8s? All 4. How many 9s? All 4. How many 10s? 3. And then 4 4 4. Okay. Now we need to go point, card by card, cut by cut, and calculate the points that they're going to have. Now, since we're the dealer, you'll see the subtotal is the sum or adding. So it's going to add together these two to get the total points that you'll get if an ace is cut, for example. So if an ace is cut, let's look at this. An ace is going to help us not at all. Not at all. So we're still with our 15, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the hand. And in the crib, an ace is not going to help us, so we're going to do 2. Don't worry about this average number right now. I'll get back to that later. You'll see that's the subtotal, and then don't worry about the left and total. I'll talk about that in a second. I want you just to focus on these ones for now, okay? Just focus on these 3 for now. If a 2 is cut, that's going to help us. 2 plus 6 is 8. 8 plus 7 is 15. So we got a 15, 2, 15, 4, and then still a run of 5, 6, 7. That works out perfectly. A 2 is not going to help our crib, so it's still just like that. Now, to speed this along, if you're doing it like hand calculating like this, I find it easier just to focus on like the crib and then focus on the hand because you see the patterns easier. So a 3 is going to help the crib because it'll give us 3 of a kind, which is 6. A 4 is not going to help, so it's still at 2. A 5 is not going to help, 2. A 6 is not going to help, so it's still a 2. A 7 is not going to help, 2. An 8 is not going to help, 2. A 9 will help because 3 plus 3 is 6 plus 9 is 15. So that'll bump us up to 15, 2, and a pair is 4. A 10 is not going to help. A jack's not going to help unless it's nibs or knobs, not nibs, unless it's knobs, but I'm not worried about that. So that's the crib. Easy peasy. A 3. So now we're back to 3s. Looking at the hand, 3 plus 5 is 8, plus 7 is 15. So we've got 15, 2, 15, 4, 5, 6, 7. And in the 4s, we got 4 plus 6 is 10, plus 5 is 15, 2, 15, 4. Now we have to include this in the run. 5, 6, 7, 8. Look at that. A 5. That's a good one. 15, 2. Borrowing this one. 15, 4. And a double run. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And the pair is 12. Pretty good. A double run, when you see those 2 numbers next to each other, I'll make another video on that, and maybe it'll, if I'm smart enough, I'll link it in here. But if not, just search my channel. A double run is always 8. So when you see that double run pattern, you can just go, oh, that's 8. Just like when I saw the 3s with the 3 cut, I saw 3 of a kind, and I know, oh, that's 6. So I don't have to count it. Okay, a 6 is not going to help other than the double run. So we've got 15, 2, and a double run for 10. 2 plus 8 is 10. Adding that 7 in there, it's the same thing. It's going to be 10. All right, 8 is going to help. We've got 15, 2. 7 plus 8 is 15, 4. And then we have a run, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Ironic how that one worked out. 9 is going to add us a few points. We've got 15, 2, 15, 4, 5, 6, 7. A 10, we have 15, 2, 15, 4. A run for 5, 6, 7, and a pair is 9. And then the rest of these are all going to be the same. It gets easier when you get down to the 10s, which, by the way, there are 4 10 value cards, so the odds are a little bit better with those. So with a jack, we've got 15-2, 15-4, and then a run of 5-6-7. So all these are going to be 7. Okay. So now over here, I have the subtotals analyzed, and the highest we can get is 14, and the lowest we can get is 7. As a dealer, neither of these are quite up to that 16, but 16 points you can expect to get, but that does not include pegging. None of this includes pegging. This is all pure discard right now. Although in the context of the game, you might want to consider if discards are equal to each other or close to, you might, depending on the board position, want to keep the one that has more cards that add up to 11 or are better for pegging, lower cards, that kind of thing. Okay, so now let me explain where this expected average comes from. Okay, so we take the subtotal, which are the two crib and hand points added together. And yes, your crib points will go up because your opponent will throw cards in there, but we don't know what they are, so we can't calculate it. It adds that up, and then it multiplies by however many is left. Okay, so we do this for everyone. That way, yes, this 3, for example, 7 is pretty good. It's okay, but there's only 2 left. So overall, its value is going to be less. Okay, as a subtotal of 13. That's pretty good, right? It's only 1 off the max. But there's only 2 3s left, so the odds are lower. Therefore, the total value is lower. So what we do now is we add all these up to get a number. It's 469. I'll write that over here. That's not 9. Okay. 469. Now, how do we figure out the expected average? Well, when you find the average of something, right, you add your values together and then you divide by the total number of options, number of cards left. So you could add 7 3 times, add 7 4 times, add 9 4 times, but that's what this multiplication column is for. So we have 469 in a 52 card deck. We know what 6 cards are. How many cards are left that we're calculating for? 46. So we divide by 46. 469 divided by 46, which I'm going to do it down here so you can see. If I do equals for the function and we do 469 divided by 46, we will get, well, you can't see it, but it's right there, 10.195, 10.195. So that's where that number comes from. So overall, that's the overall expected average value based on the odds of the cards that we do not know. Doesn't include suits, so this is a more basic calculation. But we can use this number kind of as an overall value of this hand discard combination. Woo! So we have 2 other hands to do, and we'll speed this along. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to drag and copy these. Okay, drag and copy these and put them down here because the number of cards left doesn't change. I'll go through and calculate each of these for the other 2 hand combinations we had, and then I'll be right back. Through the magic of video editing, we'll get it all done. All right, and we're back. You were watching, and I almost miscalculated some of these ones, like this one here, this 5 cut in this hand, because then we have 3 plus 8 is plus 7 is 15, so we had 15-2, 15-4, including this one, and then a double run, the 5, 5, 6, 7, which would give you 12, because 8 plus 4 is 12, not 9. I don't know what I was thinking. I totally forgot one of the runs. So as I went through and calculated, and it automatically gave me the totals, subtotals. So I have a maximum, I have a minimum pulled from this, times by what's left, add that together, divided by 46, which it all automatically does in a function here for me. Gives me 8.7, 9.5, and 10.1. Now I have it repopulated over here. So these functions also pull them automatically, which is kind of a neat feature of Google Sheets and stuff. So I can see them side by side. So I have, for the first hand option, a maximum of 4, a maximum of 14, excuse me, a minimum of 7, which is the same as dealer hand over here. So you might say, well, these two hands, this one and this one, are like the same. Max and minimum are the same. Yes, but the odds of the cards that you get cut that help you are higher with this one. So this is why your expected average is important, because now it's 10.19, blah, 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 compared to 8.7. So we're looking at like a 20% chance better of getting the good cut. This one, even though the minimum is lower than this one and the maximum is the same, actually has a slightly higher expected average. Okay. And so that's how we calculate that for the dealer. So now I can say with confidence that based on my 3 option hands, which I'm always looking for those basic discard rules, and I'll make a video on basic discard rules, that through an analysis, a slightly more in-depth analysis, I can say that this hand is the best. And if I go back over here to the hand of the day at dailycribbagehand.org, where we have people voting, that they said this hand was the best hand. Okay. Now I did not look at 3, 5, 7, 10, but that's because 3, 5, 7, 10 gives me 15, 2, 15, 4. I didn't consider that flush, like I said. So this flush actually does boost it up to 8, but it's not going to help as much overall in the odds. And so what I really like about this site too, and I'll use more videos based on this site, is that you can go down here and you can see some like really good dedicated cribbage players and people. So the 233 is a tantalizing crib for those who keep this. So they wanted to keep those. They wanted to keep the flush too. So JQT did as well. But some of these other ones kept some of the same ones we did, 5, 6, 7, 10, and that kind of stuff. So, I see a lot of the pros are keeping that flush. So maybe it would be better to keep that flush. Huh. I'd have to walk that one back. But this one is pretty good too. And it is the most voted for by a little bit. So that's why this is a troubling hand. So then I have on my tab, I can go over there and I can keep track. And you can do the same exact calculations for your pwn hand if you're not the dealer. And I'll do another whole video on that because this one's already getting kind of long. But basically, what you do is the exact same thing, except instead of your subtotal being, if you add them together, it's subtracted from each other. So like here, when I add them together, because you get the crib, you're getting these points. But if it was not your crib and you threw away 3, 3, these 2 points would be against you. So your subtotal would actually be like 3. Okay. So good stuff. Love this. These ones are always really complicated hands. So there's not always a completely definitive answer. But this kind of calculation can really help you. I hope walking through this helped you a little bit. If you want me to share this Google Sheet that I made for myself, I just drop a comment and let me know, and I'll put one on my website at huddleroundgames.com. Speaking of, is right here, huddleroundgames.com. I have a number of cribbage articles and resources for you to check out. I also talk about other card games and board games. I'm building that out, in-depth tutorials and strategies. I'm going like one game. There's a link to my YouTube channel. I'm going one game at a time, one type of game at a time, really getting in depth into it. And I picked Cribbage first as one of my first ones because it's one of my absolute favorite games to play, hands down. I'm just so fascinated by this and the pegging and position board play. It's all so fascinating. I just can't get enough of it. So Speaking of YouTube channel, if you like stuff like this, why don't you subscribe? If you subscribe and you comment, let me know this other stuff or what kind of videos you like. I'll make more of those kinds of videos. So just let me know and keep on playing.